You know, we've all been told how important networking is. But let's be honest, have you ever felt like you have to put on a mask, become someone you're not just to get ahead? Today, we're going to dig into why networking so often feels like a performance. And yeah, how that whole act can lead to some serious burnout and, frankly, pretty fake connections.
Okay, picture this. You walk into a room, right? You've got your business cards ready to go, you've plastered on that professional smile, but inside there's that little voice screaming, "What am I doing here? I feel like a total phony." If that sounds even a little bit familiar, you're in the right place. We're about to break down exactly why it feels that way and, more importantly, what you can do about it.
I mean, this quote just hits hard, doesn't it? That feeling, it's almost physical. It's that icky, uncomfortable aftertaste you get from faking enthusiasm for, I don't know, someone's golf game just to get a business card. It feels like a transaction where you sold off a tiny piece of yourself. So, why do we keep doing this to ourselves? Well, let's dive into what I like to call the networking mask and the real cost of putting it on. Right, so this is what we're talking about, the networking mask. And believe me, this feeling is no accident. It's almost like we've all been put through this unspoken training program on how to wear it. It's this polished, perfect, professional persona we put on because we're told that's what it takes to get ahead, to be successful. And I bet this so-called training sounds pretty familiar, doesn't it? You know the drill. You gotta rehearse your elevator pitch until it's flawless, even when you're screaming on the inside. You gotta laugh at the boss's terrible jokes. You gotta pretend to be fascinated by things you absolutely hate, like golf. It's always golf. And above all, you've gotta hide your quirks, hide what makes you you, and act like you've got it all figured out. So what's the end result of all this performing? Well, it's pretty simple. Total exhaustion. And you're left with a bunch of so-called connections that are built on, well, basically sand. Because if they connected with the mask and not the real you, how strong can that relationship really be? It's just not sustainable. Okay, so let's get into the why. Why does this whole song and dance feel so fake, so inauthentic? The good news is it's not just you. There's actually a real psychological reason for that dirty feeling we talked about. And it all comes down to something called the instrumental mindset. So what is this instrumental mindset? Put simply, it's when we stop seeing people as, well, people. Instead, they become tools. They're just stepping stones to help us get what we want, a rung on our career ladder. It takes the humanity out of the equation and turns what should be about building relationships into a cold, hard transaction. And you can really see the difference when you put the two mindsets side by side. On one hand, you've got the transactional mindset. It's all about what can I get from you? It's seeing people as a means to an end. And yeah, that's what leads to that unclean feeling and maybe some short-term gains. But on the other side, you've got the relational mindset, which asks, how can I help? That's about seeing people as humans, and that's where you build real rapport and long-term trust. And look, this isn't just some vague feeling we're talking about. This is backed by research. A study from Harvard Business School actually found that when people network with that instrumental what can I get mindset, it can make them feel morally unclean. Like literally like they need to go take a shower afterward. That's powerful. Okay, so we've established it feels bad. But the consequences of all this faking, they go way beyond just feeling a little uncomfortable. It can cause real, actual damage to your career and honestly to your well-being. Let's take a look at some of the numbers. So how common is this? Well, pretty darn common. Look at this. A full 40% of people say they often fake treats in professional settings. Add in the sometimes crowd, and you're looking at a staggering 75% of us, 3 out of every 4 people. We might think we're getting away with it, but that kind of inauthenticity, it has a price. And here's the kicker. The whole strategy completely backfires. Because you know what? People are actually pretty good at sniffing out fakeness. And the second they sense you're not being genuine, any trust that was there just evaporates. That amazing connection you thought you made, they see right through the act. And just like that, opportunities vanish. It's what experts call a cascade of business problems, and it all starts with not being real. Now, all this faking, it feeds into another monster that a lot of us deal with. 70%. Think about that number. That's how many professionals say they've experienced imposter syndrome.
And that's imposter syndrome, right? That nagging, persistent feeling that you're a fraud, that you're going to be found out any second, no matter how much you've accomplished. And as you can see here, it is everywhere. It hits general professionals, tech leaders, even the C-suite. And when we network by faking it, we're just pouring gasoline on that fire.
It makes that feeling of not belonging even worse.
So the personal downsides are huge. We're talking about burnout, for one, lower job satisfaction. I mean, who enjoys their job when they feel like they're acting all day? It can even lead to real stress-related health issues. And as we just saw, it just keeps that vicious cycle of imposter syndrome spinning and spinning. Okay, that was a lot of the bad news. But here's the good news, the really good news. It doesn't have to be this way. It is absolutely possible to build a powerful, meaningful network without feeling like you've sold your soul. So let's talk about how to flip the script. Here are 5 super practical steps you can start using right away. First, and this is a big one, reframe the whole thing. It's not about getting, it's about giving. Second, just be you. Seriously, let your weird, quirky self show up. Third, think quality over quantity. One deep, real conversation beats collecting 10 business cards from people you barely spoke to. Fourth, choose your spots wisely. Go to things that you're genuinely excited about. And number 5, my personal favorite, it is okay to say no. If an event feels like a chore, you have permission to just not go. Honestly, if you only remember one thing from this whole explainer, make it this. Just try this one simple switch in your brain. Instead of walking into a room thinking, what can I get? Walk in asking, how can I help? That one little change, it transforms everything from a sleazy transaction into a real human connection. And just remember, people are not their job titles. They're whole human beings. This advice here nails it. Talk about stuff beyond work, books, hobbies, that weird show you're binge watching. That's where you build actual rapport. It's not just less fake, it's 100 times more fun. Which brings us to what might be the most important takeaway of all. We need to stop thinking of our authentic selves as a liability at work. It's not. In fact, being yourself is your single greatest professional asset. It is the ultimate career strategy. Think about it. When you finally unlearn that networking act, when you drop the pressure to perform and just show up as you are, you start to build connections that are actually strong and meaningful. And that doesn't just lead to more success. It leads to a career that's more fulfilling, more sustainable, and just happier. So let's just bust this myth once and for all. The goal is not to collect the most business cards. True progress, the kind that actually matters in your career and your life, comes from building genuine bonds with other human beings. That's it. So I'll leave you with this final thought. Just imagine for a second. What if all that energy you're spending, trying to perform, trying to be the person you think you're supposed to be, what if you just redirected all of that into simply being yourself? Because that might just be the single most powerful career move you ever make.